The title for our time today with Greg Glasses is For Gripe's Sake. Griping. I looked it up, and this is what it says: to complain naggingly or continually. Or another one is to grumble. So the question I have today is, why do we grumble? Why do we complain? Why do we do that? Well, let me give you a few reasons that I think I've seen perhaps in my own life over the years and other people. Number one, we're spoiled rotten as a child. Things like we're pampered, we're protected, we have unrealistic expectations of life. Sometimes we think that life will be free of problems and difficulties, and when they come, we don't know how to handle them. You get a new home, and the hardwood floors have some scratches on them, and so then we gripe and complain to the installer. Or another example, we eat out, and they bring the main dish before I'm finished with my salad, and we gripe about that. Gripe, gripe, gripe. Man, if you're around people that gripe and complain, they're not a whole lot of fun to be with. So the second reason is I think we always fly first class. Let me tell you, I haven't flown first class very much. I haven't flown on private planes very frequently. Now, I have to tell you, to be honest with you, when I have, I love it. But if you get used to that, the problem is that it can spill over in your attitudes when you don't get to do that. You want to eat steak at Ruth Chris's instead of the Ponderosa. So you think about that. So the more we have, the less grateful a lot of times we can be. In Proverbs chapter number 30, verse 8 and 9, it says, "First, help me never to tell a lie. Second, give me neither poverty nor riches. Give me just enough to satisfy my needs. For if I grow rich, I may deny you and say, 'Who is the Lord?' And if I'm too poor, I may steal and thus insult God's holy name." And so again, we got to be aware of this whole idea of griping and complaining and grumbling. Another reason why people gripe and complain is hanging around negative people, grumpy people. In Proverbs 13:20, it says, "Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble." If you hang around with grumpy people, you're more than likely you're going to become a grumpy person. And so we all tend to become like the people we're around. So beware. Beware of complainers, beware of people. In fact, I've noticed that complainers and negative people and grumblers tend to flock together. That's interesting. In 1 Corinthians chapter number 15, verse 33, the scripture says, "Bad company corrupts good character." So you got to be careful about that one. And then the last thing is constantly comparing yourself, your situation, with other people. Here are a few of them that I noted. For example, their kids behave a whole lot better than ours do. Her husband, he's a lot more romantic than my husband. Or her husband, man, that guy can fix anything. Well, let me just tell you something right now. That one ticks me off because I can't fix anything. Another one is, their church has a much better preacher than we do. Or, her husband makes a whole lot more money than mine does. Or, why can't our son be like their son? In 2 Corinthians, chapter number, let's see what we got here, 10, verse 12, we read the following, 10:12. "Oh, don't worry. We wouldn't dare say that we are as wonderful as other men who tell you how important they are, but they are only comparing themselves with each other, using themselves as a standard of measurement." And then the scripture says, "How ignorant." That's a tough one. In James, chapter number 5, verse 9, the scripture says, "Don't grumble." Don't grumble. Categorically, don't grumble. Don't gripe. And then in the Old Testament, in the book of Numbers, the people of Israel had been taken out of Egypt, and now they're trying to figure out how they're going to be fed and how they're going to find something to drink. And so they're mulling over this, and it says in verse 10, chapter number 11, "Moses heard all the families standing in the doorways of their tents whining, and the Lord became extremely angry." So what's the point with all this? The point with all this is that God is not real big on people that gripe and grumble. So we need to be careful. In fact, sometimes you might want to study the scripture and see what the scripture says about what God did when people persisted in grumbling and complaining. Next time, we're going to talk about how to move from being a grumbler to being a person who has an attitude of gratitude. You think about that.